Hello, good evening, everyone, and we are live. Good evening, everyone, and we are live. We are live tonight here in our YouTube channel. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for our 6 viewers tonight. So tonight we will be discussing once again, more maths topic. For the reason is yes, because we still don't have any requests for science, so we'll focus more on maths tonight. And hopefully, hi Ambery, good evening, good evening, good evening. We will start in a minute. Hope everyone's doing fine. Good evening. Hope everyone's doing fine. And yeah, let me just check my math. Okay, I think I moved something. Wrong one, wrong. Oh, I flew somewhere. Okay. All right. Kai Kai. Hello, Kai Kai. Are you the Kai Kai I know? Okay, so we will be starting our live stream. So we will be talking about, again, 2 topics tonight. The first part will be on factoring, and then the second part will be complement and supplementary angles that we okay, Kai Kai, that we have talked about last time. And so we will just be continuing that and more examples on that. Hi, Midnight Mango. Hello, how are you? So we will be talking factoring in the first part as being requested. Okay, so let's get started for tonight's No Problem Midnight. There you go. There's a lot of fruit flies. Ang daming lumilipad dito. I hope more Filipino viewers tonight para at least makapag-Tagalog naman tayo minsan. Okay. Alright, okay. So tonight ang i-discuss natin is more on factoring quadratic expressions. As na-mention ko before, when we talked about quadratic, it's actually in the form ax squared plus bx plus c. Okay, so quadratic expressions are in the expressions where your variable x, okay, is in the power of 2. So that is your quadratic expression. So we will be talking 3 different factoring tonight, 4 different factoring tonight. Ang unang factoring is yung quadratic by general or GCF, okay, greatest common factor. And then second one will be perfect trinomials. By the way, pag tatlo yung given na term, like this one, dahil 3 terms siya, tawag niyan trinomial. Okay, tri means 3. So pag tatlo yung term, it's called tri. Ang quadratic is only implying the power of your x. So quadratic trinomials or your quadratic expressions. Okay? So if it says quadratic expressions, that means that you could also have a quadratic binomial. Pag bi naman, binomial. Bi means 2. So, halimbawa, you have ax squared minus c. That's a binomial. Okay? So, if it's a quadratic trinomial, it's ax squared plus bx plus c. If it's a binomial, it's ax squared minus c or ax squared plus c. Okay? That means only 2 terms. So, the nomial polynomials mean that many terms. Okay. Yes, and we proceed. So, the first one will be the greatest common factor. So, pag sinasabi natin greatest common factor, from the word greatest, meaning pinaka yung grabe, yung pinaka. Okay? Monomial, mono means one. So, greatest monomial factor. Factor means, when we talked about factors, these are numbers when you multiply or divide. Dividing a number will give you an answer. Like, for example, 6. What are the factors of 6? Factors of 6 could be 6 times 1 or 2 times 3. That means it's a number that when you multiply would give you the other number or the number given. So that is your factoring, okay? Clear ink. All right, okay. So again, when you say greatest means yung pinakamalaking makukuha mo. Monomial means 1. Factor means a number that you multiply. So greatest monomial factor means yung pinakamalaking pwede mong i-divide or i-multiply na nag-iisang term. So, for example, if you are given the quadratic expression x squared plus 4x, as I have mentioned, quadratic means it's the power, okay? So x squared plus 4x, you have to find the factors of x squared plus 4x na pinaka. So you start with x squared and x on the other one. So ang pinaka malaki na pwede mong ma-divide for x squared and x is actually x. So x is common, okay? And a bit of a hint, when you are finding the highest or the greatest factor of terms, it's always the one with the lesser power. So between x squared and x, yung pinaka-lesser na power is yung x. That's why your greatest monomial factor is x, because that's the pinaka-malaking factor or number na pwede mong i-divide or i-multiply to get x squared and x. Okay? So, between 1 and 4, of course, 1 is the highest. So, there's no other factors of 4. By the way, if there's no number, it's understood to be 1. Alright? So, between your numbers, your constants, there are no common factor between 1 and 4 except 1. So, that means that we are left with x. So, if we take out the factor of x, to get x squared, that means that should be an x. So x times x will give you x squared. Plus x times what will give you 4x. So x times 4 will give you 4x. Therefore, the factor of x squared plus 4x will be x bracket x times x plus 4. Okay. The other example. Hi, good evening, Tokushima. Alright, so the other example, okay? You try to answer it along with me. Try to answer it along with me. Okay, first thing that you have to look at is 3 and 9. What is the greatest factor between 3 and 9? So again, factor is a number that you can actually divide each term. So the greatest number, or you can multiply, the greatest number that you can actually divide 3 and 9 is 3. Right? So 3 can be divided by 3 and 9 can be divided by 3. So 3, okay, and then between x squared and x, as I have mentioned, it's always the factor or the term that is lesser in power. So between x squared and x, the lesser power is x, so you have x as the factor. And then you open bracket, what should you multiply to 3x to get 3x squared? That means there's an x, right? 3x times 3x times x will be 3x squared. Please do take note of the law of exponents. I think you have done this in year 7 and law of exponents. That means that if you have same base, okay, what you do is you add the exponents. So n plus m. That's the reason why here this is understood to be 1. Please do take note, if there's no other number, that means it's understood to be 1. So x plus x will be x squared. So 3x times x, that's multiplication, so we add the powers. So 3x times x will give us 3x squared. And of course the power is, the sign is minus. So minus, what should you multiply to 3x to get 9x? So 3 times 3 will give you 9. And x times 1 will give you x. So 3x times 3 will give you 9x. So therefore, the greatest monomial factor, or the factor of 3x squared minus 9x, will be 3x times x minus 9. Okay, let's try the third example here. The third example, you have 2x squared plus 8x. So again, the first thing that you have to do is check on the constants. The constants here is 2 and 8. So what could be the factor between 2 and 8 where I can divide both? Okay, so dividing both, that means that the common is 2. So you write 2. Okay, because 2 is divisible by 2 and 8 is divisible by 2. Why not 4? You might ask, why not 4? Because 4 is a factor of 8. Yes, 4 is a factor of 8. However, 2 is not divisible, or it will not give you a whole number quotient when you divide it by 4. That's why it couldn't be 4. Okay, so 2, and of course, the lesser power is x, bracket, 2x squared. This is a 2x squared. So I have a 2x here. What should you multiply? What is left is an x plus, that's the operation here, and that's a 2x. 2x times 4 will give me 8x. Okay, can you try this? You can type in your answer. Come on, let's try until you get it. Try to answer these 3 questions here on the screen. You can type your answers. So first thing that you have to think of, or to, let's say, you have to know, is that if it is a greatest common factor, okay, or a greatest common monomial, it always, okay, it doesn't have anything that is common between the two terms except for the factor. Yes, that's right, Tokushima. So that's y times y plus 7. That is correct. How about the next one? What is common between 18 and 6? Okay, what is common between 18 and 6? You factor that out. And what is common between x squared and x? You factor that out. Anyone? Type in your answer. Type in the chat box. Yes, that is correct. So common between 18 and 6 is 6. Yes. And then you have x. So you have 6 times 3x will give you 6x squared. And minus 1, not x. Sorry. Not x. It's 3x minus 1. Because 6x times x would give you 6x squared. Do you understand now? So 6x times 3x will give you 18x squared. However, 6x times x will not give you 6x. It will give you 6x squared. So it should be 1. Okay, so 6x times 3x will give you 18x squared. And 6x times 1 will give you 6x. So it's a 1. Anything that is being multiplied, no problem. Anything that you multiply with 1 is itself. Okay, next one. So between the answer of Tokushima is 2x. Yes, that's common. And then x plus 4. Yes, that is right. So 2x times x will be 2x squared. And 2 times 4 is 8x. Yes, that is correct. Okay, the next factoring is what we call the perfect square trinomial. So base sa pangalan, perfect square trinomial, perfect square. So what are the perfect squares? The perfect squares are 1, 4, 16, 25, 36, so on and so forth. So perfect squares like 2 square is 4, 1 square is 1, 3 square is 9, 4 square is 16, 5 square is 25. So these are your perfect squares: 25, 16, 9, 4, 1. Okay, so those are your perfect squares. Now, trinomial means 3. Trinomial means 3. So, perfect meaning perfect number. Trinomial is 3. So, how do we factor out a perfect trinomial? Alright, so it's easy. First thing that you have to check is the first and the last number only. If the first and the last number are perfect numbers, then it could be a perfect square trinomial. Okay, I'm not saying all the time it is, but it could be a perfect square trinomial. So that's 1. Yes, it's a perfect number. 4 is also a perfect number. 25 is a perfect number. 16 is a perfect number. 100 is also a perfect number. And 1 is a perfect number. So the second step, since you have identified, yes, it's all perfect. Yes, I can solve it. Okay. So the next step that you have to do is find the root. Okay, the root of your perfect number. So if you have a 4, the root will be 2, right? If you have a square root of 9, the root will be 3, and so on and so forth. So that is what we meant by roots. So x, that is considered as 1. So you have x. Sorry, it's not writing. Wait. Okay. X. Okay. You write it. X. And then you have 4. So you write 2 and 2. Now, in a perfect square trinomial, you have to check the sign. So if it is positive, okay, if it's positive, it's positive. That means that positive times positive is actually your last term. Okay, last term. Negative times negative is also positive, that is your last term. So that means that your last term can be positive times positive or negative times negative. Okay, so that could only be your last term. Now, the next one that you have to check is the middle term. If the middle term is plus, that means both will be also plus. Okay, therefore, this perfect square trinomial, its factor will be x plus 2 square. All right, let's try the next one. So all the time in a perfect square trinomial, apart from the first and the last term is perfect, this sign here will always be positive, plus, plus, plus. The last term's sign is always positive. Okay, so what is the root of 25x squared? So it will be 5x times 5x. All right, that's the root of 25x squared. Then 16. 16 is 4 and 4. Okay, and then you look at the middle term's sign. The middle term sign is negative. So therefore, it should be both minus, minus. All right, so if it's positive, it's plus, plus. If it's negative, it's minus, minus. Cool? Okay, last example. Okay, 100. What's the root of 100? The root of 100 is 10. Of course, x squared will be x. So you have 10x. Okay, this will be 5x minus 4 squared. And then you have, why am I putting brackets there? Okay, 1. Now you look at the middle term, it's minus. Therefore, it will be minus 1, minus 1. So 10x minus 1 squared. All right, let's try. Let's try. Can you try this out? So step number 1 for perfect square trinomials, step number 1 is to check the first and the last term. If the first and the last term are perfect squares, that could be a perfect square trinomial. The second one that you have to check is if the sign of the last term is positive, then it is a perfect square trinomial. If this is positive and the middle term is a negative number, that means that both factors should be negative times negative. If the middle term is a positive number, therefore both factors will be positive times positive. Yes, well done, Midnight. Well done. Yes, that is correct. X minus 8 square. Yes, that is correct. How did you do the square, Midnight? Okay. Oh, probably you're using a laptop or something. But well done. Yes, that is correct. How about the second one? Okay. By the way, for you to actually to check whether your answer is correct, squaring the last term is 8 squared is 64, and multiplying it by 2 should give you the middle term. Okay, so 8 times 2 is 16. Yes, that is correct. 2x plus 3 square. Yep, that is right. Maha Blanca, that is also correct. Okay, so expanded form. And then this is x to the power of is your simplified form. Okay, next one. Last one, last one, last one. How about the last one? So what is the root? Yes, that is correct. Yes, that is right. X plus 11 square. That is correct. Well done, Midnight. Well done, Tokushima. That is right. X plus 11. So again, how would you check if your answer is correct? 11 square is 121, and 11 times 2 is 22. Okay, and again, if it's plus, both signs will be plus. If it's minus, both signs will be minus. Yes, that is right. Okay, let's proceed to the third factoring. The third factoring is what we call difference of two squares. Okay, so let's first unlock the term difference. Difference means minus or subtraction. Two squares meaning both numbers or both terms are perfect squares. Okay, so since it says two squares, that means that you can only factor this, okay, if you are given only two terms. So how would I know? First is you check the first. If it's only two terms, yes, then I can probably use difference of 2 square. Okay, so if it's only two terms, it could be factoring by difference of 2 squares. The second thing that you have to do on your checklist is to check whether the two terms given are perfect squares. Yes, that's 1, that's 4, it's a perfect square. 25 is a perfect square, 16 as well. 4 over 25 is also a perfect square. 1 is also a perfect square. Therefore, both terms are perfect squares. Then the third one that you have to check is the sign or the operation. It's all minus, minus, minus. And therefore, I could say that I can factor this by difference of 2 squares. So what is or how do you factor difference of 2 squares? The first step is it will be the same with the perfect square trinomial. Find the root of your first and second term. All right, so using this one, the root of x squared is x, and the root of 4 is 2. Therefore, your factor here, difference of 2 squared, will be x plus 2 and x minus 2. Okay, why is it plus and minus? Why can't it be minus, minus, and plus, plus, which is the same with perfect square trinomial? The difference here is that this is only two square numbers. Why is it plus and minus? Because plus 2 minus 2 will cancel out each other. So plus 2 minus 2, 2 plus negative 2 will give you a 0. Which is your middle term. Remember, in our perfect square trinomial, minus 2 plus minus 2 will give you minus 4, or 2 plus 2 will give you a 4, right? In our perfect square trinomial, which is the middle term. However, here, we don't have a middle term. That's why it's plus and minus. Okay, that's the reason why on a difference of 2 square, it's plus and minus, because there is no middle term. Okay, so to cancel out, 2 plus a negative 2 is 0. So again, for this one, 25, perfect square is 5x. Sorry, the root is 5x. Okay, and of course 16 is 4. So therefore, the factor would be 5x plus 4 and 5x minus 4. Okay, so it's opposite sign. Again, why is it opposite sign, Teacher Maria? Because plus 4 plus minus 4, 4 plus minus 4 is basically 0. So that's the point, because we don't have a middle term. And remember, the middle term is the sum of the factors. So 4 plus negative 4 is 0. So there's no point of solving it, okay, because there's no middle term. And the last one will be 4 and 25. So you find the factor, the root of 4, it's 2. And the root, Mom, how to check if it's correct? Do you use FOIL? Yes, you can use FOIL. You can use FOIL. Yes, you just need to do that one. So 5x times negative 4 is 20. And then 4 times 4 is 20 also. So it's 0. Yes. Yes. The same thing with perfect square trinomial. So x times x times 3 is 3. Okay, that's plus, right? And then 3 times 2 is also, no, there is a 2, 6 and 6. So 6 plus 6 is 12, which is the middle term. The only important here is to determine the middle term. That's it. So you just, yes, you don't need the whole FOIL method, just the middle term, just to check whether you are right. It's just the middle term that is important, because you're pretty sure, you are very sure with your first and last term, which is the first and the second factor. Okay, so same thing here. X times negative 2 is negative 2x. 2 times x is positive 2x, which is 0, which is the middle term. Alright, yeah, it's only the outer and the inner. So 5x times negative 4 is 20, negative 20, and then 4 times 5 is 20, so negative 20 plus 20 is 0, which is, of course, there's no middle term. Remember that the middle term of a quadratic expression or a trinomial is with an x. So since there's none, then that's 0. That's understood to be 0. Okay? So going to the last one, 25, the root of 25, of course, because 25 is already perfect, is 5. Okay? So the factor, and of course 1, the root of 1 is 1. So therefore, the factor here is 2 over 5x, because that's the x squared, so it's x, plus 1, and 2 over 5x minus 1. So how do you check? Just do the outer and the I of your FOIL. So 2/5 times negative 1 is negative 2/5, and 1 times 2/5 is 2/5. Therefore, negative 2/5 plus 2/5 is 0, which is the middle term. Alright, let's try. I'm excited for you to try this. Okay, kindly type in your answer on the chat box. On the chat box, type your answers for the following question. Oh, my music is so smooth. I think I'm going to sleep anytime soon. So when you factor, whether it's not necessarily the greatest common factor, but when you factor those special trinomials or special quadratic factoring, it's always the middle term that you just need to check whether it's correct or not. Because of course, if your first and last, it's always the first and last term. Yeah. Midnight Mango, you are correct only with a sign. It's always plus and minus. So x plus 5 times x minus 5. But you are correct. Tokushima, you are right. Okay? x minus 5 and x plus 5. Again, why is it plus and minus? For the reason that we don't have a middle term. So the smiley face here will be negative 5x, negative 5x, and welcome midnight, which is 0, which is the middle term. How about the second one? Let's do this. Let's do this. So it's actually very simple. This is, I think, the fastest factoring the difference of two terms only. Difference of two. Yes, that is right. You got it right. 2x minus 3 times 2x plus 3. Okay. Yeah, that's correct. That's correct. Okay. You might ask, Teacher Maria, is it really necessary for the plus to be first and the minus to be second? No. Okay. Plus, minus, first and second doesn't matter, because we're not adding, we are multiplying. So whether it's I'll show you an example. Let's say, for example, you have negative 4 times 3. Okay, that would still give you a negative 12, right? Whether I put positive 4 times negative 3, that would still give you a negative 12. So does the negative and the positive matter on how it's being positioned? No, because it's multiplication. It would still give you a negative number. Yes, that's right, Tokushima. That is right. So 5 over 6x plus or minus 11, and then 5 over 6x minus 11. Yes, that is correct. Well done, well done. Okay, let's proceed to the next one. I hope that was clear. Now, this time around, we are factoring quadratic trinomials. So, factoring quadratic trinomials. Please do take note that the most important part is to get the middle term correct. And it's the sum of the factors for the inner and the outer. Okay? So, what's the first step? When you factor, look at the first and the last. Okay? That's the only important thing. When you do factoring, find the factors of your first and your last. Okay? So, first here is x squared. Therefore, the factors of x squared is x times x. That's the factor of x squared, right? And 24. Now, this is where the tricky part is. What are factors of 24 that when you add it, it's negative, sorry, it's negative 24. What are factors of negative 24? When you add them, will give you the middle term. Okay, so let's try to write down the factors of negative 24. Okay, so that's negative 24. So the factors would be negative 24 times 1. That's one of the factors. Negative 12 times 2. Okay, as I've mentioned, I could put the negative with 2. Okay, either way, it's still the same. You can have 6 times negative 4, right? Or negative 6 times negative 4. Amongst this, all of this, okay, you would notice that the only one with the factor that will give me a 2 when I add is this one, right? Negative 6 times 4 is negative 24. Negative 6 plus 4 is negative 2, which is the middle term. Okay, so negative 6 times 4 is negative 24. Negative 6 plus 4 is negative 2. Therefore, the factor of x squared minus 2x minus 24 will be x minus 6, x plus 4. Okay? X minus 6, x plus 4. Now, I do not know if this will be an easier method for all of you, but I'll just introduce to all of you a method that I normally use and introduce to my students. So I use this lattice method. So the first one is, I'll find the factor of the first term. You write it here, x and x, right? That's the factor of x squared. Then negative 24. And then I'll write negative 6 and 4. So x times negative 6 will be negative 6x, right? And x times 4 is positive 4. Then you add. That's negative 2, which is the middle term. Therefore, the factor would be the crossover. Okay, the crossover. So x plus 4 and x minus 6. All right, I do not know if that would be easy for all of you to practice, but for me, it's normally easier to look at it. It's easier to look at. Okay. All right, let's try the next one and use the same method, lattice method. All right. Okay. So we have a given x squared. Actually, you can just think of it without even using any of the method. X and x, all right? That's the factor of x squared. And then you have negative 6. So the factors of negative 6 is negative 6 and 1, or 3 and 2, right? And you look at the middle term. If it is a positive, that means the bigger factor should be positive. Okay? So we have negative 2 and then positive 3. Okay, now you might ask Teacher Maria, how would I make it easy for me to know what would be the signs of my factors? What is a clue or a hint that that will make it easier for me to solve? Paano ba yun para mas madali yung pagsusolve ko ng ng factors? Okay, so here it is. It's simple. The last factor here is always a multiplication of two numbers, right? The last term is always a multiplication of, or factors of 2. So if it is negative, that means that it's negative times positive, or positive times negative, right? If the last term is a negative c. Now, if the last term is a positive c, then it could be positive times positive, or negative times negative. Okay? And then the next one that you have to check is the middle term. If the middle term is a negative, so if b is a negative, okay, that means that the bigger factor amongst the two should be the negative 1. Okay, you put the negative on the bigger factor. If b is positive, that means the bigger factor should be b. The positive, not b, should be. Is it clear? Okay. All right. Clear? Okay. And of course, if you have c, which is positive, okay, that means that if b is negative, that means that both factors will be negative. And if b is positive, that means both factors is positive. Can't see the lower part. Okay. Okay, Tokushima. Okay, so if the last term is negative, factors will be negative times positive, or positive times negative. Okay? And how would I know the middle term? How would I arrange my negative and positive? If the middle term is positive, okay, if b is positive, the bigger value, the bigger number factor should be the positive 1. If b is negative, the bigger numbers factor should be negative. Okay? That's the only way that you can understand. So, going back to our example, so that you would understand. It's negative 24, right? So the factor should be a negative and a positive. So for this case, it's 6 and 4. But the middle term is negative 2x. That's why 6 got the negative instead of 4, because the middle term is negative. So if the middle term is negative, the bigger factor will get the negative sign. Okay? Now, if you will look at the second one, the middle term is positive 1 or positive x. That's the reason why the positive went to 3, because the middle term is positive. So 3 should be positive. Okay? So 3 plus a negative 2 will be positive 1. Let's try the last one. If you would check the last one, you have 3x. Okay. Let me just erase this. Okay. So factors of 3x squared will be 3x times 3. Sorry, 3x times 3. 3x times x. Okay. And then you have factors of 8. What are factors of 8? 4 times 2, right? Or 8 times 1. But of course, why we cannot use 8 times 1? For the reason, this is your clue. It's already a 3x. If I have an 8, it will go beyond 10, right? 8 plus 3 is not 10, or 8 minus 3 is not a 10. So it will go beyond 10. So I'm pretty sure that the factors that is being used here will be 4 and 2. Okay? Now, how will I position 4 and 2? Using your FOIL method, what would your pair be with 3? And what would your pair be with x or with 1, so that you will get the middle term 10? So should it be 3 times 4? Let's try to place it here. This is what we call, by the way, this is what we call trial and error. The method that I'm using right now is trial and error. So 3 times 4 will give me a 12x. Okay. And then x times 2 will give me a 2x. Now the middle term is plus 10. So to who should I give the positive? It's always on the bigger one. So 3x times 4 will be positive 12, and negative 2 times x will be negative 2x. So negative 2 plus 12 will give me 10x, which is the middle term. All right. Now, okay. Let's go back to, so that is a factor, by the way. That's the factor already. Now let's try to use back the lattice method. So first thing that you have to do is draw the lattice, the cross. So you write 3x and x. Okay. Then you pair 3x times 4 will give me 12x. 3x times negative 2 will give me negative 2x. So when you add, 12 plus negative 2 will give you 10x. Therefore, this is the correct factor. 3x minus 2 and x plus 4. Okay. All right, let's try. Let's try to do the following. So first thing is, you find the factors of your first and last term only. That's the only important thing. First and last term. Factors, first and last. And then, the next step that you have to do is add. Okay? Add the outer and inner to get the middle term. Try. Can I try the AC method? Okay. It's quite, sorry. Okay, AC method. Okay, so AC method, you have, remember, what is this AC method? It's coming from your standard form of your quadratic trinomial. It's ax squared plus bx plus c. So the first thing that you have to do with the AC method is you multiply the first and the last. Okay, wait, my phone is constantly telling me that because we will have summative soon and maybe we need to do, oh, okay, all right, Maha Blanca. Okay, all right, so AC method. Okay, so first is you identify your A, your B, and your C. So this is your A, this is your B, and this is your C. Okay, so the first step is you multiply A and C. So A here is 2, C is negative 3. Okay, so 2 times negative 3 is negative 6. Follow? Okay. Now, the next step is how should you add, or what should you add to get a negative 6? So that the answer of you adding those factors of negative 6 will be the middle term. Okay? So based on your AC, what factors of 6 should you add so that you will get the middle term? So since the middle term here is negative 5, so that is negative 6 plus 1, right? Negative 6 plus 1 is negative 5. Okay, so negative 6 plus 1 is negative 5, which is your middle term. Therefore, the two factors will be negative 6 and 1. Okay, negative 6 and 1. So those are the factors that you will be using, negative 6 and your 1. So how would you do it? So 2 divided by your first factor. What is your factor? The first factor is negative 6, right? So 2 divided by negative 6 is 1 over negative 3. Not 3 and 2. Because it's negative 3, Ma Blanca. If it is 3 and 2, you won't get the middle term. Okay. Not 3 and 2. Not 3 and 2. So it will be 1 and negative 3, and then 2 divided by 1, because that's the second one, right? That's why I don't recommend this method. Sorry. Because it's a bit confusing, but it's actually easy. It's just a bit confusing. Okay, these are the numbers. So where did I get 2? 2 is my first term's number. It's A. So A, 2 divided by negative 6 is 1 over negative 3. And then 2 divided by 1 is 2 over 1. Okay, so this will be your pair. So the number on top will be your x. The number on top will be paired with your x. So that's 1, right? So that will be x minus 3 and 2x plus 1. So that is the factors. Okay, so first step, if only we will use the lattice method. Okay, let's try to use your AC method with this. So first step, multiply your A and your C. So 2 times negative 3 is negative 6. Next step is what numbers or what factors of negative 6 will give you negative 5. So the factors of negative 6 that will give me negative 5 is negative 6 plus 1. So negative 6 times 1 is negative 6. So negative 6 plus 1 is negative 5. So that is your factors, negative 6 and 1. Okay, those are the factors of your AC. Now, the third step is you divide your A with those two factors. So 2, which is our A, divided by negative 6 will be 1 over negative 3. And 2 divided by 1 will be 2 over 1. Therefore, the factors of 2x squared minus 5x minus 3 will be x, okay, because that's a 1. So x minus 3, which is your denominator, negative 3, times 2x, which is your numerator, plus 1. Okay. Okay, let's try the next one. So this is AC. I hope you're getting it, Maha Blanca. So A here is, so first step is AC. So A is 1, C is 24. Okay, so 1 times 24 is 24, positive 24. And then you find the factors of 24 that will give you a negative 10. So, okay, so since your middle term is negative, what did we say? If the middle term is negative and then the last term is positive, that means that the numbers that is being multiplied are both negative, because negative times negative is positive. Okay, so what are factors of 24 that will give you a 10? It's 6 times 4, right? So you have negative 6 plus negative 4 will give you a negative 10. Negative 6 times negative 4 is 24, which is positive. Negative 6 plus negative 4 is negative 10, which is your middle term. Okay, again, first step, multiply A and C. Second step is find those factors of your product of AC to get the middle term. So 24 is 6 times 4. So since the middle term is negative 10, therefore it's negative 6 plus negative 10. Wait, so which one is the variable? So we don't multiply 2 with the numerator. No, you divide A. You divide 2 with your factors. You divide this, okay, this factors of negative 6 with, you divide A, which is 2, with the factors. Yes! 10 times, it's always x times, yes, that's right, yes. So negative 6 plus negative 4 is negative 10. Negative 6 times negative 4 is 24. So the next step will be, that's 1 over negative 6, which is the same thing, and 1 over negative 4. Therefore, your factors would be, the one on top will be with x. So that's x minus 6, and the one on top will be x minus 4. Midnight, yeah, you cannot have 3 and 10 for the reason the middle term is 10. So 3 plus 10 is 13. And 3 times 10 is 30. So first thing that you have to look for are the factors of 24. Welcome, Maha Blanca. Okay, let's try the last one with the AC method. Okay. So number 3. Oh, okay. Oh, sorry. Sorry, Midnight. I thought number 2. Okay, let's try to check. Okay, let's try to check the answer for the last one. Okay, now the last one, you have 15 and 2. So, what's the first step? AC is 15 times 2. 15 times 2 is 30. Okay? So, what are factors of 30 that will give you 13? Okay? So 30 is 3 times 10, and 3 plus 10 is 13. Therefore, 30 here for AC would be 3 plus 10, which is 13. Okay? You're almost correct, Midnight. Almost. Something is missing, but it's almost correct. Okay? Alright, so you have 3 plus 10 is 13, which is the middle term. So that means that the correct factor is 3 and 10. The next or the last step is the factors 3 and 10 will be divided by the first term. So 3 divided by 15 is 1/5, and 10 divided by 15 is 2/3. Oh, sorry. It's the other way around. Sorry, my bad. It's the A over the factors. 15 divided by 3 is 5/1, and 15 divided by 10 is 3/2. Okay? Oh, okay, okay. All right. So 15 is your A divided by your factors 3 and 10. So 15 divided by 3 is 5 over 1. And 15 divided by 10 is 3 over 2. So what will be your factors now? The factors would be 5x. The numerator is always with the x. So 5x plus 1 and 3x plus 2. Okay? So, yeah, that's the reason why sabi ko, malapit na si midnight. Pero nakalimutan niyang i-divide ang 3 and 10. Ang 15 with 3 and 10. Okay? So, ang kulang sa process mo midnight is i-divide mo yung 15 by 3, tapos yung 15 by 10. Alright. Maha Blanca, are we good? Do you understand it now? Welcome. Okay. All right. So this is what you call AC method. So let's just recap how to do AC method. The first step that you have to do is multiply the A and the C. That's why it's called AC method. So A times C, for example, for the first example here, 2 times negative 3 is negative 6. The second step is to find the factors of negative 6. To find the factors of negative 6, that will give you the middle term. So negative 6 times 1 is negative 6. So negative 6 plus 1 is negative 5. So plus, okay? Plus 1 is negative 5, which is your middle term. So therefore, the third step will be divide the A with your factors. So 2 divided by negative 6, simplify it, it's 1 over negative 3. And then 2 divided by 1 will be 2 over 1. Alright? And then the numerator will always have the x. 2 times x, so 2x. Okay? Oh, here. 2 times x is 2x plus the denominator will be the number that you have to add. Now, please do not move the signs of your number. It should always be with your denominator. Okay? The numerator will always have the positive. All right. Okay, I hope that was clear. I hope that was clear. Okay. Any question, by the way? Before we proceed with the second part, I hope it's clear. So if you have none, okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you. So again, for factoring, I think that's the last one for factoring. Mom, how can I find the numerator faster? The numerator. Yung eto ba? Ay, eto siya is A. Ang numerator is always the A. Or factors. Okay. It's almost 8. Do we play Kahoot? Someone wants to play Kahoot. In a while, Ambery, yung sa B and C po. B and C. Oh, you mean the factor. Okay. Ang clue lang dun is yung factors are always the numbers na medyo ano ba yan? Medyo malapit-lapit ang factors. So, explain ko. Halimbawa, ito, 3, diba? So, ang factors ng 3 is negative 3 times 1 or positive 3 times negative 1, diba? At tapos, i-check mo yung middle niya, which is negative 5. So, posible yan kasi may 2x dito. So, possible yan na yung factors na para dito will be negative 3 and 1. Dahil, ang middle term mo is negative 5. As I've mentioned, the factor, if it's a negative, the biggest factor will get the negative. Para, pag i-add mo, you will get a negative. Okay? Same with this. 24, diba? And I need a 10. So, what are factors of 24 na posibleng if i-add ko will give me a 10? So, 8 times 3 is 24, but 8 plus 3 will not give me a 10. So, 6 times 4 or 6 plus 4 will give me a 10. So, yung clue mo or the hint that you will have is always the middle term. So, easier way is you always start finding the factors that are closer in terms of number. Closer in terms of factors. Like, for example, 6. For sure, 6 times 1 would be the extreme. So, possible sa 6 will be 3 and 2. It's always the one with closest values which will be the factors. Most of the time, kasi nga, it's the one that you can play around with the first term. I hope I answered your question, Midnight. So, halimbawa for the last one. So, eto, 15, tapos 2. So, for sure, dahil etong middle term mo is 13, which is a small number lang. So, for sure, yung 15 will have 3 times 5, and your 2 will be 2 times 1. How you position it will be based on the middle term. So, 15 is 3x times 5x. And then just do the FOIL, outer. Anong dapat i-pair ko sa 3x so that I'll get 13? So, possible, dahil 13 yan, dapat ang 2 paired with 5 para may 10 ako. Tapos 3 with 1 para may 3. So, 10 plus 3 will be 13, which is the middle term. Okay? Same thing with this. Just find 2 times 1, 2 times 1, and then ito, negative 3 and 1, diba? Welcome, Midnight. So, 2x, ilagay mo lang siya, ganyan. Tapos, i-pair mo. Smiley face. Remember, keep on smiling. So, anong dapat i-pair ko sa 2 para makuha ko yung negative 5? So, of course, if i-pair ko siya sa 1, hindi ko makukuha yung negative 5, diba? So, dapat yung 3. So, lagyan mo ng negative 3 here. 2x times negative 3 will give you negative 6x. And 1 will be paired with x, which is 1. So, 1 plus negative 6 will be negative 5, which is the middle term. Ayun. So, just keep on smiling. That's how you check it. Trial and error. But the clue here is, it's always those numbers or those factors na malapit sa isa't isa. Medyo malapit sa isa't isa. Okay, let's try. Okay. If you still have any other question, we can go back to it. Okay, let me just finish complementary and supplementary angles. Someone requested to further explain complementary and supplementary angles. So when we talked about complement each other. Complementary is 90 degrees. The sum of the angles are 90 degrees. Supplementary, the sum of the angles is 180 degrees. So if you are given this question and you're asked, what is the value of x? So since complement is opposite, right? It's vertically opposite or perpendicular in terms of the ray. So if you would see this box here, that means it's complement. So that means that 47.6 plus x should be equal to 90. The two angles, the sum of two angles is 90. So you just need to rearrange it. 90 minus 47.6 will be your value of your x. Okay? So what is the value of x? Anyone? 47.6. So that's 6. For sure that's a 0.4 because that's a 6. And 47 will be 42. So therefore your x is 42.4. Okay. Now on the other hand, what is supplementary? Supplementary is the sum of the angles equals 180. So if you would see a straight, okay, a straight angle, that means it's 180. So you just need 2x plus 50 is 180. Transfer 50 on the other side. When you transfer anything to the opposite side, its sign will be the inverse of it, or the reciprocal of it. So 2x will be 180. Since that's plus, it will be minus on the other side. And 2x will be 130. X, 130. That's multiplication. So when you transfer, it becomes division. So x would be, what will be 130 divided by 2? What is 130 divided by 2? Anyone? Anyone? Someone? No one? It's 65 degrees. Okay. Oh, it's not clear. Sorry. X is 65 degrees. All right. So if you are given questions or word problem, the first thing that you have to look for is the word complementary and supplementary. So you see it says two angles are complementary. So that means that the two angles should be 90 degrees, a total of 90 degrees. So if one angle is 2 times the sum of other angles and 3, find the two angles. So first is, the first angle is x. That's always the case. One of the angle is x. Okay, the other angle is 2 times the sum of the angle and 3. So x and 3. 2 times, so 2 times x plus 3. Okay, if one of the angle is 2 times the sum, so x plus 3. So x plus 2 times x plus 3 is 90. Alright, so x plus 2x plus 6, 90. You solve, x would be transfer 90 minus 6. So you will have 84 and then divided by 3x because that's a 3x. So 84 divided by 3, that will be 28 degrees. Okay, and of course, if it says supplementary, meaning this is 180. If one of the angle is 36 less than twice, so 36 less than twice, so 2x minus 36, that will be the other angle, and of course, x will be the angle. Always let x be that one angle. And then the remaining part of the question will be how to write it down. So if one angle is 36 less than twice, so 2x minus 36. So 2x minus 36 plus x, you will have 3x. When you transfer 36 to the other side, it will be 180 plus 36, which is 216. So 216 divided by 3 will be 72 degrees. So your x is 72. So if you are asked what are the angles measure, the angles measure will be 72 times 2 minus 36 will be the angle measure of the other angle. Okay? I hope I was able to clarify that. All right, so that is the end of supplementary and complementary. Are we ready to play Kahoot? By the way, the Kahoot one will be factoring. Okay, so let's try. And of course, the winners will have 10 pesos worth. Where is my phone? Okay, 10 pesos worth of load. All right, are we ready? Are we ready to play Kahoot? Okay, let me just... Please do leave a comment, like what is your topic for next week for your math and science, so that we can cover it next week's live. Oh, what happened to my Kahoot? What happened to my Kahoot? Kahoot is always playing with us. Playing. Let's play. I hope it works. If it doesn't work, then that will be the end of our live stream tonight, if it doesn't work. But I hope it does work. I hope it does work. You can still continue to ask me questions. We would still answer them while Kahoot is loading. Nope, I hope it works. Tokushima. Okay. Please work, Kahoot. Please work, Kahoot. Sorry, it's taking a few extra seconds to load. Hang in there. I hope it would work. Oh no, what's wrong? Please work, Kahoot. It's not working. Oh, there! Yay! All right, it's working. Please join by typing www.kahoot.it. And if you have the app, you can just open the app and key in the game pin. The game pin is 8324375. Zephyr Loki, okay. All right, can we start now? Anyone else going to join? Ako ni, kay Bukika, Zephyr Loki, Kahoot. Okay, I'm going to press the start button in 10 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 4, 3, 2, and let's go. Let's start. Factoring and solving difference of squares and perfect square trinomials. Question number 1. Which type of quadratic expression is this? Is this difference of squares or is this perfect square trinomial? Is this difference of squares or is this perfect square trinomial? Yes, that is correct. Let me just make it smaller. I think, yes, that is right. Okay, what happened? Oh, okay. What happened? Oh no! Don't tell me it hanged. Okay, it's not. Alright. Okay, Kai. I'll try to make it smaller. Okay, next one. Still on the lead is Akuni. I do not know who is Akuni. Factor the expression given. The last one here is C. What is the factor? Wow, well done, it's A. Well done, it's A. Okay, it's not a C or B. Again, if it is a trinomial, it's always the same sign, negative, negative, or positive, positive. Akuni is still on the lead. Which type of quadratic expression is this? Is it difference of squares or is it perfect square trinomial? Yes, that's right. It's difference of squares. Well done, well done. Akuni is still on the lead. Let's proceed. Factor the expression. Now you factor the expression n squared minus 25. Is it A? Is it B? Is it C? Is it D? Yes, it is number 3, letter C. Okay, it is n plus 5, n minus 5. Remember, if it's difference of two squares or difference of two squares, it's always plus and minus. Okay, perfect square trinomials, it's minus minus or plus plus. Which type of quadratic expression is this? Is this a difference of square or is this a perfect square trinomial? Yes, that is correct. Now you will be asked to, you will be asked to factor it. Factor the expression then. If it's a perfect square trinomial, what would be its factor? Is it r plus 5 square? Is it r plus 1 square? Is it r minus 5, r plus 5? Or is it r minus 2 square? What would that be? By the end of this Kahoot, you will be masters of difference of square and perfect square trinomials. Because this is only squares difference. Yes, that is correct. This is only difference of squares and perfect square trinomial. Okay, let's proceed. Next one. Which type of quadratic expression is this? Is it difference of squares or is it perfect square trinomial? Yes, it's a perfect square trinomial. That is correct. Well done, well done. Okay, let's proceed with the next one. Still on the lead is Akuni. I wonder who is that, Akuni. Factor the expression then. What is the factor? What will be the factor? It's a perfect square trinomial. It's letter B. It's k minus 1. Remember, if the middle term is minus, both signs will be minus minus. Okay? If the middle term is minus and it's a plus on the last one, it should be minus minus. Okay, let's proceed with the next number. Which type of quadratic expression is this? Yes, it's who answered perfect square trinomial. But anyway, nice try. It's difference of squares. If you only have two perfect squares, that means it's different of squares. Okay? Next one. So, if that is difference of squares, how would you factor the expression? X squared minus 16, what would be the factor? Is it A, is it B, is it C, or is it D? And the answer is C. Who answered the D? Remember, if it's a perfect square trinomial, the factors is always plus minus. Okay, it's plus minus. Sorry, difference of squares, it's plus minus. If it's a perfect square trinomial, it's either minus minus or plus plus. Alright, that's what you should remember. So which type of quadratic expression is this? Only 2 is given. Is it difference of squares or if it's perfect square trinomial? From the word trinomial, there should be 3. So is that 3 terms or is that only 2 terms? So difference of 2 squares or is it perfect square trinomial? Yes, it's correct. It's difference of squares. Who answered again perfect square trinomial? Okay, difference of squares, the factor is always plus and minus. Okay, if it's perfect square trinomial, the factors is always minus minus or plus plus. So for this case, since it's difference of square, which of the following is the correct answer or the correct factor? Yes, correct, Midnight Mango, it's perfect. It's sorry, not perfect. It's difference of squares. So plus minus if it's difference of squares, and if it's perfect square trinomial, it's minus minus or plus plus. Yes, you're getting it now. Yes, that is correct. It's B. Okay? So perfect square trinomial has 3 terms. Okay, 3 terms. And its factor is always minus minus or plus plus. If it is a difference of 2 squares, it's only 2 terms. And the factor is always plus minus or minus plus. What is the root of 25? That's the only thing that you have to think of. So what will be the values of x? It's letter B. That is correct. It's letter B. Okay. Well done, ako ni. Kay bukikay. Come on, kay bukikay. Okay, solve the equation by factoring. Again, it's perfect square. So what are the factors of a perfect square? Sorry, perfect square. Difference of 2 squares. So what are the factors of difference of 2 squares? And that's the answer of your equation. Again, if it's a perfect square trinomial, you have minus minus or plus plus. If it is difference of 2 square, it's minus and plus. Okay. Ako ni is still on the lead. Wow. Ako ni. This is me. By the way, for those that are asking, what's the meaning of ako ni? Okay. Now this one can be, yes, you are correct, Midnight Mango. It was D. How about this one? Again, as I said, it's always minus minus or plus plus, the same number. So what would be the answer? This is a perfect square trinomial. Factors of a perfect square. Factors of a perfect square is plus plus or minus minus. So for this case, since it's plus 10 in the middle, it should be this C, letter C. Because it's 5, it's 25. So it's letter C. Okay, now you look at the last term. It's 64. What is the perfect square? 64 is a perfect square. So what is its root? What is the root of 64? What is the root of 64? And always remember that a perfect square trinomial is always plus plus or minus minus. So which of the following will give you that number? That's the answer. Okay, what's the root of 64? And that's the answer. It's letter C. Yes, it's negative 8. That's correct. We're almost done. 2 more questions before we end tonight. Alright, number 17. Solve the equation again. Alright, okay. That is x squared minus 9, which is difference of 2 squares. What is the root of 9? That is your answer on the choices. What is the root of 9? That's the answer on your choices. And remember, difference of 2 square is plus and minus. Plus and minus. What is the answer? It's plus and minus. So which one? The root of 9 is 3. and plus minus, so negative 3 and positive 3. That is correct. It's letter D. Okay, last question before we end tonight's live stream. What happened? Hello? Yes, next. Solve the equation by factoring. Okay, what is the root of 16? And remember, a perfect square trinomial is always plus plus or minus minus. So what is the root of 16? What is the root of 16? It's always the opposite, okay? If you are asked for the answer of an equation, it's always I think you were confused. Yes, you were looking for the factor, but you did not solve the equation. You were confused. You gave the factor, but you did not solve the equation. Yes, so our winner that is on top 3 is Zephyr Loki, second is Kahoot, and our final ako ni. Kinsa dagoy is ako ni. Okay. What happened? What happened to you? Anyway. All right. So the three winners. Who is ako ni? I don't know. Yay, first go. All right. Kindly share your mobile numbers and we will be giving out our Akuni. Okay. We will be giving out our 10 pesos worth of load. Yes. Let me just write down your numbers, okay? Yes. Yeah, you can send me your numbers now. You can send me your numbers now. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight. Congratulations to the winners. Congratulations to the winners. Well done, well done. Ako ni. Me is Kahoot. Okay, Maha Blanca, kindly send me your number. Okay. And Midnight Mango, if you have a mobile number, whether any number will do. If anyone that you would wish to be shared the 10 pesos worth of load, please do send me your number. Okay. Thank you, Maha Blanca. I'm still waiting for Loki and who's the other one? Okay, no problem, Midnight Mango. I only have 2 numbers. Anyway. Okay, I hope that you were able to understand and enjoy the game tonight, and as well as you were able to learn and review your knowledge on factoring, your understanding on factoring. Perfect square trinomials, quadratic expressions, your greatest common factor, and as well as your difference of 2 squares. Congratulations to everyone who won tonight's Kahoot game. Thanks, Mom. No problem. Welcome, Midnight. See you next week. The same channel, the same time. Punini. Okay, Punini. Coming. Please do leave a comment with your maths and science topics so that we can... I understand now. Okay, thank you, Maha Blanca. I hope to see you next week, same time, 7 p.m. every Tuesday night here in Teacher Maria's YouTube channel. All right. Thanks, everyone, and have a blessed week. Have a good night's sleep, and see you next week. Thank you, and I hope that I was able to help you in small bits and pieces, small ways that we can. Thank you. Please don't forget to leave a comment with your topics for maths and science next week that we will be covering. Thank you. Good night and have a good week ahead. See you next week. Bye-bye. Good night, everyone.